Welcome to the It Factor. We're Jemmy and I, exploring a new blog post by Mr. Len Kaplan, CEO of CDML, a managed service provider in Queens, NY, offering network management, voice over IP, unified communications as a service, cybersecurity, compliance, infrastructure as a service, cloud solutions, and Microsoft 365 and Azure solutions. If you're a small business owner or manage IT for a growing organization, this episode is for you.
And to really set the stage for this one, I want you to just imagine standing on a super busy street corner.
Right.
And in the blink of an eye, over 100 vehicles simply freeze in place.
Oh, wow. Like just instantly.
Instantly, yeah. Traffic just grinds to an absolute halt. You've got horns blaring, the intersections are completely gridlocked, emergency vehicles are totally trapped.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Oh, it is. But the terrifying part is that there wasn't a physical crash. There was no massive weather event either. The entire sprawling mess was caused by an invisible, cascading software failure.
Wait, really? A software failure caused all that?
Yep, just spreading right through a network that no one was actively monitoring.
I mean, that is a brilliantly terrifying way to frame the core issue we are unpacking today. We're diving into this really timely article by Len Kaplan. It's called Shadow IT, When Helpful Technology Becomes a Hidden Risk.
Right, exactly. And before we really get into the weeds on that, I just want to drop a quick, friendly reminder that you can find fresh, actionable insights like this every Tuesday and Thursday when new blog posts are published.
Definitely check those out. So our mission today is to look past the sort of traditional ideas of cybersecurity. We aren't talking about external hackers and dark basements today.
Right, the typical movie hacker stuff.
Exactly. Instead, we are exploring how the absolute best intentions of your very own team can inadvertently punch massive holes in your network defenses, and more importantly, how you can actually manage that reality.
Yeah, and bringing it back to that traffic jam scenario I mentioned that actually happened.
Wait, seriously?
Oh, yeah. It is the perfect large-scale wake-up call to show just how fragile interconnected systems can be. We have to look back at April 2026 in Wuhan, China.
Oh, gotcha. And just for context for the listener, yes, this is the exact same Wuhan associated with the origins of COVID-19.
Right, exactly the same city. But this particular incident was entirely digital. Over 100 autonomous robotaxis just stalled out simultaneously right in the middle of the city.
And from what Len Kaplan outlines in the text, the real shocker is it's the pedigree of the technology they were using.
Yeah, it wasn't a bunch of cheap knockoffs.
Right. These were not cheap experimental prototypes being tested in some closed, controlled parking lot. This was a highly advanced, heavily funded, real-world deployment.
Top-tier engineering all around.
Exactly. Top-tier engineering was behind this entire project. And yet, a single system malfunction still managed to cascade across the entire centralized network. One localized failure rippled out and paralyzed a massive fleet.
Because the infrastructure was supposed to be state-of-the-art. But since the vehicles were constantly syncing with this central system, a system that lacked the proper safeguards against a cascading error, well, bad data from a localized malfunction was essentially treated as a legitimate instruction.
Oh, so the network just blindly accepted it.
Exactly. The network basically trusted the endpoints way too much, and it brought a major metropolitan area to a complete standstill.
Okay. I want to push back on that analogy for just a second, though.
Go for it.
Because I totally understand how a centralized fleet of autonomous cars failing is a massive public disaster. But if I'm a small business owner listening to this, a citywide traffic jam feels light years away from, say, my marketing coordinator downloading a seemingly harmless, free PDF converter.
Right, to help them format a brochure faster or something.
Exactly. The scale and the stakes just seem entirely different.
Well, the scale is definitely different, but the underlying mechanism of vulnerability, that's identical.
Really? How so?
Think about the architecture of a modern small business today. You aren't just operating isolated standalone computers anymore. Your business is this hyper-connected network of cloud drives, communication channels, and databases.
Right. Everything is linked.
Exactly. So when that marketing coordinator downloads an unvetted PDF converter, they are introducing a rogue endpoint into your network.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they are establishing a connection that the central system, meaning your IT department, literally cannot see, cannot verify, and cannot control. And that right there brings us to the formal definition of shadow IT.
Which is what exactly?
It is any technology, software, or service that gets introduced into an organization without the explicit approval, visibility, or management of the IT team.
I mean, it's basically the digital equivalent of employees quietly building their own private side doors into the company headquarters.
That's a great way to put it.
And what Len Kaplan really stresses in the article is the motivation behind it, because it is almost never malicious. You don't have employees sitting there trying to actively sabotage the company infrastructure.
Right. They aren't trying to be hackers.
Exactly. Most of the time, they are genuinely just trying to solve a bottleneck. They just want to improve their own productivity.
But good intentions don't patch a security vulnerability.
Honestly, such a great point.
Because intent is completely irrelevant to a data breach. Let's look at some of the practical day-to-day examples Kaplan highlights, because they are incredibly mundane.
Oh yeah, the article lists some super common ones.
Right. Like a massive trend right now involves employees signing up for newly released AI tools. They want to draft emails faster, or maybe summarize meeting notes.
Sure, makes sense.
But then they use their corporate email addresses to create these totally unauthorized accounts.
I see that constantly. Or, the classic file sharing workaround.
Oh, yeah, the class.
Like a file is too large to email, or the corporate secured server requires VPN access, and it's just acting super slow.
Oh.
So what happens? An employee just drops the sensitive client files right into their personal Dropbox or Google Drive account,
Right.
because it feels frictionless.
Exactly. Another major category he mentions is unauthorized SaaS platforms.
And just to clarify for everyone, SaaS stands for Software as a Service, which is essentially any cloud-based application you access via a web browser instead of installing it on your hard drive.
Right. So say a sales team gets really frustrated with the company's legacy software, and they just decide to adopt a new slick SaaS platform for customer relationship management. And they just put it entirely on their own credit card.
Wow, just completely bypassing IT. And we definitely can't forget browser extensions. I honestly think this is the stealthiest form of shadow IT.
Oh, absolutely. It's so easy to ignore.
Right. People just install a quick extension to block advertisements or check their grammar as they type. But what they don't realize is the mechanism of how those extensions actually function.
Because they need permissions.
Exactly. To check your grammar, that extension often requires permission to, quote, read and change all data on the websites you visit.
Which is terrifying.
It really is. Because that means it is potentially reading your secure login portals, your internal company dashboards, and even your client banking screens.
Every single one of those examples creates a brand new, totally invisible entry point into your digital environment. And it is so vital to understand why this decentralized behavior is exponentially more dangerous today than it was, say, a decade ago.
Why is it so much worse now?
Well, 10 years ago, if someone installed an unapproved software program, the risk was largely isolated to that single physical hard drive.
Okay, that makes sense.
But today, modern digital systems are built on APIs, application programming interfaces. These are designed specifically to let different softwares talk to each other and share data instantly.
Ah, so the data flows freely.
Exactly. And this interconnectedness fuels what we call the multiplier effect.
Right, the multiplier effect completely shatters this misconception that shadow IT is, just one tool.
Exactly. It's never just one tool.
Because a business owner might look at a rogue app and think, okay, someone is using a random AI note taker for their meetings. It's just one app. How bad can it really be?
It can be catastrophic.
Right, because a single tool doesn't exist in a vacuum anymore. Len Kaplan actually walks through this really chilling scenario regarding Microsoft 365.
Yeah, let's actually follow the mechanics of that scenario. So an employee wants to use a new third-party AI app to manage their inbox. They click Sign in with Microsoft and hit Allow when the prompt asks for permissions.
Which, let's be honest, is a reflex at this point. People just hit Allow without ever reading the fine print.
We all do it. But by hitting Allow, a digital token is generated. That single app now has persistent access to the Microsoft 365 tenant.
Right.
It can potentially read every single email in that inbox. It can scan through internal documents stored on SharePoint.
Just from clicking Allow once?
Yes. It can extract that data and store it externally on developers' servers. Servers that your company has absolutely zero control over. Furthermore, it might even have permissions to trigger automated workflows, like sending emails or sharing files on the employee's behalf.
It is exactly like giving an employee a physical key to the front door of the office, only to realize later that the key they were given automatically unlocks the company safe.
Exactly.
And it opens the HR filing cabinets. And it completely disables the alarm on the back door. Just one click creates this massive, sprawling web of unauthorized access.
And because the IT department doesn't even know that key was handed out in the first place, they cannot monitor who is walking through those doors.
Which introduces some really profound hidden risks.
Massive risks. The most immediate is the security vulnerability. These unvetted apps often lack enterprise-grade encryption. They might have super weak internal security control.
Right, they aren't built for corporate security.
Or, worst of all, the developers might just abandon the project and stop issuing software patches, which leaves known vulnerabilities just wide open for exploitation.
And then, on top of the security, you have the operational instability.
Oh, yeah.
Like if a department secretly builds their entire daily workflow around some unapproved sauce tool, what happens when that third-party service experiences an outage?
They're stuck.
Exactly. The team's productivity plummets, operations halt, and the official IT department is completely blind. They can't troubleshoot a system they don't even know exists. You're basically taking on massive vendor reliability issues without any contingency plan.
But honestly, the operational headaches pale in comparison to the legal and financial ramifications.
Oh, compliance.
Yeah. This is where shadow IT can literally close the doors of a small business permanently. Unregulated data movement inevitably leads to severe compliance violations.
Right, and Len Kaplan specifically highlights several strict regulatory frameworks in the article. For instance, he brings up HIPAA, which mandates the protection and confidential handling of patient health data.
Crucial for any medical business.
Exactly. And he also mentions NYDFS. Those are the New York Department of Financial Services cybersecurity regulations designed to protect financial institutions and consumer data.
Right.
And NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which basically sets the baseline federal cybersecurity frameworks.
So let's apply the multiplier effect to those regulations. Imagine a clinic administrator uses an unauthorized, totally free AI transcriber to type up patient notes.
Okay.
That app scrapes the audio, processes it on some cloud server located overseas, and then stores a text copy for its own machine learning purposes.
Yikes.
Right. That clinic has just committed a massive data exposure violation under the health privacy laws, regardless of whether a hacker actually breached the system or not.
Because the simple act of moving the protected data to an unvetted, unencrypted third-party server is the violation itself.
Exactly. It's the movement that breaks the law.
It really recontextualizes the danger. And hey, if you are listening to this deep dive and finding this breakdown of digital risks eye-opening, please take a second to click that thumbs up button. It really helps us know we're hitting the right topics for you.
Definitely.
Because the realization here is super jarring. Much like those advanced robotaxis in Wuhan, a company's network might appear to be humming along perfectly right up until a dormant vulnerability is triggered and the entire system just locks up.
It's a very fragile illusion of security. Because the visibility is zero, so the risk is infinite.
Right. So we really need to talk about the path forward here. Because if a small business owner is listening to this right now, there's a very high probability they are already swimming in shadow IT.
Statistically, yes, absolutely.
And the immediate knee-jerk reaction might be to just lock everything down, block all downloads, freeze all permissions, and become a total digital dictator.
Which never works.
Exactly. So how does a company reel this back in without transforming IT into the Department of No and completely stifling the team's ability to innovate?
That tension is exactly what Len Kaplan addresses, and it really forms the core of CDML's approach to modern network management. The philosophy is critical here. The objective is absolutely not to block innovation.
Right, you want innovation.
Exactly. Because if you try to build impenetrable walls, employees will simply find taller ladders. They always do.
So true.
The goal is to manage the innovation safely. You want your team finding faster, smarter ways to work, but you need a structured framework to ensure those new methods are technically sound.
It's a cultural shift from the Department of No to the Department of No, K-N-O-W, like knowing what is actually on the network.
Exactly.
And according to the article, CDML executes this through a series of proactive strategies, starting with the very beginning of a technology lifecycle, which is establishing clear tech approval and onboarding processes.
Because the friction of approval is usually what drives shadow IT in the first place.
Right.
If an employee has to fill out 20 pages of paperwork and wait 3 months to get a $50 app approved, they are just going to put it on their personal credit card and completely bypass the system.
Obviously.
A business needs a streamlined, transparent pipeline. It should be totally effortless for a team member to say, hey, I found this great new AI tool. Can we run a quick security check so I can start using it?
You essentially make doing the right thing the path of least resistance.
Precisely.
But you also can't rely entirely on the honor system, right?
Oh, no, definitely not.
The text points out the absolute necessity of active monitoring and auditing. Like you need automated tools scanning the environment to flag when a new unrecognized application attempts to integrate with the company network.
Because visibility is the foundation of security. Once you have systems in place that alert you to these unauthorized connections, you need to establish automated boundaries around your core data.
Which involves implementing Microsoft 365 security controls.
Yes, and specifically, utilizing conditional access policies.
Let's break down conditional access for a moment because, it sounds like corporate jargon, but the mechanics are actually fascinating.
It's a game changer.
It operates like a highly intelligent bouncer at the door of your data. Instead of just checking if someone has the right password, the system evaluates the entire context of the login attempt.
The system asks a series of contextual questions instantly, like who is logging in? What specific device are they using? Is it a company-issued laptop, or are they on a personal tablet?
Right.
What is their geographic location? If a marketing coordinator suddenly tries to download a massive database of client financial records from an unrecognized IP address at 3 in the morning, conditional access policies will automatically block the action.
Even if the password was correct.
Exactly. Or it will require additional multi-factor authentication. It essentially restricts how data can be moved, regardless of what unapproved apps might be trying to pull the strings.
That is so smart.
Yeah.
And those technical boundaries have to be paired with the human element too.
Yeah.
Because technology is ultimately operated by people.
Right.
CDML emphasizes the importance of employee security awareness training, but they make a very specific distinction here. This training must be focused on modern tools and AI.
Because the old training modules about spotting a Nigerian prince email scam are wildly outdated.
Totally.
Employees need to understand the modern threat landscape. They need education on the actual mechanics of data scraping. When they understand why pasting a client's proprietary financial model into a public AI chatbot effectively publishes that data to the world, they naturally change their behavior.
Right. Education empowers the team to evaluate risks themselves. It elevates them from being the weakest link in the security chain to being the first line of defense.
Exactly, which ties into CDML's practice of evaluating new technologies for compliance risks before they are ever deployed.
All right. Proactive evaluation.
Yeah. Before a shiny new platform is rolled out, someone actually looks under the hood to ensure it meets the encryption and data residency requirements for strict regulations like HIPAA or NYDFS.
So all of these individual strategies basically culminate in the creation of a comprehensive governance framework.
Which is essentially the rule book for how technology lives and breathes within a company.
Right. It balances the need for operational flexibility with the totally non-negotiable requirement for data protection. When a governance framework is implemented correctly, it doesn't slow an organization down at all.
Not in the slightest.
It provides a securely paved road, giving employees the confidence to drive innovation as fast as they want, knowing the guardrails will safely keep them on the track.
Exactly. Innovation transitions from being this chaotic liability into a managed strategic advantage.
So the big takeaway here is that we really have to reframe how we view digital risk. The Wuhan robotaxi incident is a stark warning about centralized systems failing due to bad data.
Right.
Shadow IT introduces that exact same cascading risk into a small business, but it does so silently through decentralized, completely unmanaged endpoints.
And look, the intention of this deep dive is absolutely not to make anyone fear new technology. You absolutely have to adopt new tools to stay competitive in today's market.
For sure.
But you must manage them. If your team's adoption of software is outpacing your IT department's visibility, your network is incredibly vulnerable.
So think about the digital tools you and your team used just this morning, just today.
Yeah, tally them up.
How many of those browser extensions, cloud drives, and new AI assistants actually went through a formal IT security review? And more importantly, what invisible API connections are silently running in the background of your business right now?
It's a tough question, and if you aren't completely certain of the answer to that question, getting expert help is the next logical step.
Highly recommend it.
You can actually get a free consultation with CDML Computer Services to help bring visibility, control, and robust security back into your environment. And they do it all without slowing down your team's daily momentum.
That's the key.
I highly recommend visiting cdmlsoatori.com. You can use their contact page to schedule a review, and be sure to subscribe to the blog while you are there. Their entire mission is built around empowering business growth through innovation using secure, sustainable solutions.
Stay safe, stay informed, stay compliant. We're Jemmy and Nye. Thanks for listening. Till next time.